Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday service. We are the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living, and we are so glad to have you with us today. All right, we have a few announcements before we get into everything. So August is a very special month for all of us at the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. The theme of the month is Inclusion in Action. Over the course of the month, we have 3 guest speakers and 2 interactive workshops. Please plan on joining us for one or all of them. On Sunday, August 16th, join Reverend Darrell Jones as he returns to our community after a long absence. Reverend Darrell Jones is a spiritual director, minister, and teacher who provides loving, nurturing, and transformative one-on-one and group learning experiences. His talk title is Colorblind or Colorful? On Sunday afternoon, following his Sunday message, join Reverend Darrell for an interactive workshop on Zoom. The workshop is called Seeing the Full Color Spectrum, Unlocking the Filters of Our Living to Experience the Full Spectrum of God's Expression. He says, through presentation, dialogue, and spiritual exercises, we'll explore this natural tendency of our eyes, mind, and even body to filter out the full expression of God. Whether we call it bias, prejudice, selective vision, or hearing, we all experience or welcome that which we know. What if we expand that which we know or understand? What else is of God is there to experience? The workshop will be from 12:30 to 1:45. There is a suggested love offering of $20. You can register on our website at trianglecsl.org. You will receive the Zoom link after you register. Then, on Sunday, August 23rd, join Penelope Gardner and Jack Denniston from Braver Angels as they talk about polarization. Their talk title is called Let's Get Together and Be All Right. Jack says, the way we talk within our groups about people who are in other groups is important. If we talk about the others in a respectful way, good things can happen. If, on the other hand, we talk about the others in a disrespectful way, we become more and more polarized, and it becomes more and more difficult to find common ground and to find a way forward through the many challenges that face us today. They will share their own personal stories of their own personal growth and development and the impact that's had on their relationships and way of being in the world. Then later that afternoon, following the service, please join us for a Braver Angels Skills for Bridging the Divide workshop. You know, there's a lot of stress these days among family members and friends who are divided politically, and the current polarized public conversation does not help. This workshop will assist us to learn the skills for having respectful conversations that clarify differences, search for common ground, and affirm the importance of the relationship. The invitation is to do the first part of the work by yourself by going to their website at braverangels.org/online/skills-training. Then, on August 23rd, you will have a chance to practice skills with a partner while being guided in the use of these skills. Okay, so I also have a financial report for the month of July. Our July collections were $11,518. Our total revenue was $13,208. Our monthly expenditures were $18,892. This was higher than normal because of class certification expenses to home office for a number of classes and teacher reimbursement. So our July net revenue was negative $5,684. We currently have $29,758 in our checking and savings accounts combined. As always, Reverend Dusty and the Leadership Council want to thank those of you who continue to support the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living with your ongoing tithes and gifts. They assist us to keep our beloved spiritual community alive and healthy and moving forward with our mission. Thank you so very much. Okay, and now I am going to turn it over to our platform host, the beautiful and talented Heather Abbott.
Thank you, Carol. Good morning, everyone. Our theme for 2020 is 2020 Spiritual Vision. Our August theme is Inclusion in Action. Reverend Dusty's talk title today is Everyday People. Our community purpose statement is our reason for being here. Our purpose is to inspire, educate, and empower individuals to experience themselves as unique and individualized expressions of God, the love intelligence that governs the universe. We are committed to not merely a theoretical understanding of our oneness and unity with God, but to consciously practice this truth in our everyday lives. Through celebration, service, study, and fellowship, we are committed to the transformation of our personal lives and to being a powerful and beneficial presence on the planet. With the energy of unconditional love, simply, we are here for God. Now I would like to invite you to participate in our centering. If you're comfortable, close your outer eyes and turn within, allowing these healing sounds to wash over you.
I invite you to begin to bring your attention back into your bodies and into your rooms and remain turned within as I speak a word of invocation upon our service today. Blessing the service, blessing the congregation, blessing the day, blessing our lives. With my eyes closed, I am so acutely aware of the power and presence within me that I call God. That is the very essence of joy, of peace, of creativity, of love, of abundance. I know that this presence is everywhere at all times in its fullness and in its wholeness. An energy with no circumference and points of center everywhere. I know that I am one of those points created by it, out of itself. And just as I know that this is true for me, I know that it is true for each and every person here in the sanctuary this morning, each and every person on Facebook or Zoom, each and every person in our community that could not join us, and each and every sentient being on the planet. We are all divine emanations of the One, ambassadors of its presence on the planet. And it is from that place of oneness, divinely connected to each other in ways that can never be broken, that I bless our time together. I bless Mark and Heather as they anchor the AV booth having us sound and look magnificent this morning. I bless Cindy Johnson as she comes forward to share her gift of song. I bless Heather and Carol as they come forward to participate as practitioners and hold the high watch and lend their consciousness and their love of this community to our service today. And I bless everyone participating in the service through this modern technology, knowing that this community is a place of welcome and love for each and every single one of us, and that this journey would be much less fun without one another. And so for all of the blessings of this day, those that I'm aware of and those I can't even begin to imagine, I am grateful. We anchor this together simply by saying, and so it is. Amen. It is now my privilege and pleasure to welcome back to the podium licensed spiritual practitioner Carol Cross.
Hello again. So glad to know that we are connected no matter what. So it is time for us to do our favorite ritual, the blessing of all faiths. And we have the beautiful and talented Heather to do that for us. So the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living honors the diversity and threads of truth that run through all spiritual paths, as represented by this ceremony. Christianity is the path of Christ consciousness, love, and forgiveness. Buddhism is the path of compassion and understanding. Judaism is the ethical path of living by sacred law. Baha'i is the path of unity and peace. Islam is the path of submission to the will of God, the highest calling. Confucianism is the path of deliberate tradition. Taoism is the natural way, the path of ultimate reality. Native American practice and shamanic traditions are the path of primal spirituality. Shintoism is the path of tribal ancestry. Hinduism is the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Science of mind and spirit is the path of the divine principle of love and law. And the heart represents the one heart, the one love that resides at the center of all people and all beings everywhere, with no exceptions. May peace prevail on earth through the followers of all paths. And so it is. Thank you, Heather. Okay, the reading for today is from the CSL Diversity and Inclusion Commission. They say, divine intelligence, the source of all that is, manifests itself in, through, and as each diverse form and individualization of itself, empowering expressions of imagination and creative power. We are immersed in the divine. The divine is inclusive of diversity, the confirmation of which is self-evident. We naturally are inclusive when we are recognizing diversity around us. Though we each have preferences, we are united in one source, and therefore inclusion is the essence of who we are. We are invited to examine our beliefs from a stance of self-observation to help us become more aware of thoughts and ideas that do not serve us or others. This allows for transformation. Consciousness reveals itself as inclusion in action and demonstrates our oneness. So if you would, close your outer eyes again for just a moment. And I'm really feeling that oneness. I'm feeling the heart that is the shared heart from all of us as people, as things, and as divine source, the one source, the only source of all there is. And as I look at that one heart. I know that it is unconditional love. It's not just a little love, it is God love. It's not just a little joy, it is God joy. It's not just a little connection, it is the absolute oneness of all things and all spirits and all energy everywhere. I know that's my truth. I know it is your truth. I know it is the truth of everyone on this planet. And right now, I really know that it's the truth of Reverend Dusty and Cindy Johnson as they come to uplift us, to teach us, that they speak with God wisdom, that they share with God love, that they manifest spirit in its highest form today. And I know that that means that every one of us will be that much higher and that will lift our planet. So I know that this is already perfect and complete in the mind of God. So I just turn it over to the universe that makes these things manifest. And I invite everyone to anchor it for us with our words, and so it is. And so it's our very own lovely songstress, Cindy Johnson. Thank you. Sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs lie in my song. The butcher, the banker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah. There is a blue one who can't accept the green one, for living with the fat one, trying to be a skinny one. Different strokes for different folks. So on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Ah, sha-sha. We've got to live together. I ain't no better, and neither are you. We are the same, whatever we do. You love me, you hate me, you know me, and then you can't figure out what bag I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah. There is a long hair that won't accept the short hair, for being such a rich one that will not help the poor one. Different strokes for different folks. So on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Doo. I am everyday people. There is a yellow one that won't accept the black one, that won't accept the red one, that won't accept the white one, and different strokes for different folks. And so on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Doo. We've got to live together. I am everyday people.
don't have to raise your hand because I'm not going to be able to see it anyway, but how many of you remember the song that Cindy just sang? It's called Everyday People, and it was a hit song in the 60s by a rock and roll band called Sly and the Family Stone. Now, it was the group's first song to reach #1 on Billboard's soul music chart. For me, it is the absolute perfect song for this month, as the lyrics carry a timely message of peace and equality that was underscored by the diverse makeup of the band itself. Sly and the Family Stone was made up of both black and white, male and female band members. They were really a picture of integration during a time when the notion was fairly new in the United States. The theme for the month of August is Inclusion in Action, and my talk title, as you can well imagine, is Everyday People. And as usual, I think that it behooves us at the beginning of each new month to take some time to look at the theme of the month, which for us today is all around inclusion. Now, some of what we might talk about today will be brand new for the majority of people listening. Some of it may have been heard by you at other times, over the course of the last couple of years. But what I can say for sure is that it has never been heard in this particular configuration before, and has never been heard, for sure, I know, from the backdrop of a Sly and Family Stone song. And it has never been heard with the ears and the consciousness that you have right now in this moment. So the invitation is to stay open and available to how you will hear the information on this particular morning. So inclusion means that all people, all groups of people, regardless of their backgrounds, their cultures, their religions, their age, their skin color, their sexual identity, or their sexual orientation, or their abilities, or their disabilities, have the right to be respected and appreciated as valuable members of their communities. Every individual or every group of individuals is welcomed, supported, and encouraged to participate in their own unique way within the whole. It means understanding one another by surpassing simple tolerance of each other to ensure that we are truly valuing everyone's differences and everyone's contributions. This allows everyone to embrace and to celebrate and to place positive value upon the rich dimensions of diversity in our various communities, of which there is a tremendous amount of diversity. Inclusion is a sense of belonging. Inclusive cultures allow people to feel respected and valued for who they are as an individual or as a particular group within a community. People feel a level of supportive energy and commitment from others when the culture is one of inclusion, which allows them then to do their best or to be their best. If we go back to the song that Cindy just sang, Everyday People, Sly's sister, Rose Stone, sings the bridging sections that mock the futility of people hating each other. And I say that mock the futility because it's kind of like that na-na-na-na-na-na kind of song thing that, kids did that we all did when we were younger. So it mocks the futility of people hating each other for being tall or short, or rich or poor, or fat or skinny, or black or white, or anything else. There's a blue one who can't accept the green one for living with a fat one trying to be a skinny one. There's a long hair that doesn't like the short hair for being such a rich one that will not help the poor one. There's a yellow one that won't accept the black one, that won't accept the red one, that won't accept the white one. Now, on one hand, this is simply describing the diversity that exists on the planet. Diversity is the full range of human differences, including but not limited to race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, social class, physical abilities or attributes, religious or ethical values, national origin, political beliefs, or any other ideologies. These differences can be self-evident, such as the external differences that we can readily see with our eyes, or they can be more internal, such as lifestyles or personality characteristics or family composition or the educational background that we may or may not have. Diversity includes all of the ways that we are different from one another. Diversity, it exists, and it's neither good or bad. Ernest Holmes says, everything in the universe is a unique individualization or expression of the one thing that is the cause of all things. No two blades of grass are alike, no two grains of sand, no two thumbprints, no two of anything are alike, and nothing ever exactly reproduces any other thing. So diversity means recognizing our individual differences and understanding that each individual is unique. The power of diversity can only be unleashed and its benefits reaped when we recognize these differences and learn to respect and to value each individual. So the invitation is to be curious, to remain open, and to stay absolutely present in each and every moment. The invitation is to really look within the individual rather than simply looking at the individual. Another verse from the song says, sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. These lyrics speak to the fact that each individual in any particular community brings with them a diverse set of work and life experiences, as well as religious and cultural differences. They bring that with them into the community. These kinds of differences imply different worldviews, beliefs, perspectives, opinions, and different ways of making choices or decisions in our lives. Vivek Wadhwa, who is a distinguished fellow and professor at Carnegie Mellon University and a director of research at the Center for Entrepreneurship and Research Commercialization at Duke, says it really goes deep into the core of who you are, how you were raised, dinner time conversations with your family, things that happened to you at school. These dynamics have shaped your beliefs about humanity. Whether some groups are superior or inferior, who gets it and who doesn't, who is trustworthy and who is not. These are the beliefs that we hold and the biases that we have. We all have biases. Each and every single one of them, one of us has biases. And learning how to eliminate them can be really tricky. Many of our biases are unconsciously triggered, and that makes them not very easy to eliminate. Bias is everywhere. Everywhere we look, we can see these biases. And while it's human to categorize people, the invitation is to do the inner work to uncover our own biases. Reverend Rafe spoke about this last Sunday, uncovering our own biases. So how can we do that? Now, Vivek Wadhwa says, first we can recognize that as human beings, we are all more similar than we are different. And we should focus on our similarities, on our shared humanity. Second, we should strive to understand each individual for who they are. Instead of characterizing individuals by gender or race or other external characteristics, we should focus on the individual's distinctive characteristics, their background, their feelings, what's happening in their life right now. Look at their facial expressions, their eyes, and the energy that they bring. What makes them unique? Because that's right why we're all here. We were created to be unique and individualized expressions of the divine. So we have our oneness, and yet we have our uniqueness. During the chorus, all of the singing members of the band, Sly and the Family Stone, proclaim that I am everyday people, meaning that each one of them and each one of us should consider ourselves as part of the whole, unified. One of the verses says, the butcher, the banker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in. For me, this speaks to our oneness. Oneness is the relationship between the creator of all of life and everything that it creates. It describes that relationship. In the context of humanity, each human being is a unique expression of the one source and cannot be separated from it. That is oneness. This is the spiritual truth held by faith traditions around the world for all time. The truth is that God is all that there is. It is the very essence of unconditional love, of harmony, of peace, of compassion, and of unity. Throughout the universe, there exists an all-encompassing, loving flow of energy that connects everything and everyone one to the other. There is not a place that God is not. It's also true that there is a great multiplicity, that oneness and our unique expression. There's a great multiplicity of manifestations within the one. Each manifestation is an individualized expression, unique, different from all of the rest. We all have different cultures and different languages and different religions and different political affiliations and different ways of being in the world. There's even these really different physical bodies that really seem to create a barrier between us and our deep and abiding oneness. All of these differences appear to separate us, but the truth is that divinity is at the center of each and every single sentient being, at the center of everything on the planet. And through that golden thread, we are one. One. This fundamental principle of oneness guides the universe. There is one and only one heartbeat that connects the totality of the cosmos. We describe it in our blessing of all faiths, that one heart. There's an at-one-ment within nature, a unity and a harmony that is at the very core of life itself. Ernest Holmes says, God is all there is. God encompasses everything, all possibility and all actions. For the Spirit is the indivisible essence and substance of all form. Other bridges of the song, Everyday People, contain the line, different strokes for different folks. Oneness does not mean sameness. Diversity is a divine idea in the mind of God. Different strokes for different folks, meaning that all people are different and have different needs and desires, and yet we have all got to live together. That was the underlying foundational theme of the entire song. We've got to live together. The universe depends on the cooperation and the interdependence of everything and everyone working together. Unfortunately, that's not always the place that we live our lives from. We're conditioned to ignore the oneness, conditioned to ignore the connectedness, conditioned to ignore the interdependence. Instead of oneness, we often see only our differences, only that which appears to separate us. We are conditioned to compete, to win at all costs, to live our lives comparing achievements, to vie for resources, to judge everything, and to live in opposition with each other. We are intimately connected to all of creation, and yet we build fences, construct barriers, create labels, and utilize infinite strategies to separate ourselves from one another. We only have to look out at the world today to see where we are not living from our divine and abiding connection to each other. There's many situations that are happening in this moment in the world that speak to and clearly point to an us versus them mentality. There is division and separation everywhere that we look. Our minds, our hearts, and our arms are closed off to many aspects of the whole. This is an example of exclusion and not of inclusion. Exclusion means that the act of excluding, which means to prevent someone from sharing or taking part in something. It means to shut out or to keep out or to leave out of consideration. Social exclusion is the process in which individuals or people are systemically blocked from or denied full access to various rights, opportunities, and resources that are normally available to others and which are fundamental to the observance of human rights in general. Alienation or disenfranchisement resulting from exclusion can be connected to a person's age, to their social class, to their race, to their religious affiliation, to their ethnic origin, to their educational status, their childhood relationships, their physical abilities or disabilities, their sexual orientation, their standards of living, or their appearance. Anyone who appears to deviate in any way from the perceived norms of any particular population may thereby become subject to coarse or perhaps subtle forms of exclusion. This speaks to the underlying truth that inclusion is not a natural consequence of diversity. We can spend millions of dollars getting a diverse collection of people into the door and never change the environment that they walk into. We can have a diverse community of people, but that doesn't mean that everyone feels welcomed or valued or that they are given opportunities to grow. Inclusion is not automatic. It requires deliberate attention and intention and consistent action on all of our parts. Diversity often focuses on the differences, and it's referred to as the mix. It means all of the ways that we differ. Some of these differences we are born with and cannot change. But the bottom line is that anything that makes us unique is part of the definition of diversity. And wow, yay, woo-hoo to that. Things that make us unique are awesome. Inclusion is the deliberate act of welcoming diversity and creating an environment where all kinds of people can thrive and succeed. Diversity is what you have, and inclusion is what you do. So if exclusion means excluding people, then inclusion would just seem to naturally mean including people. Shafiq Asante, in an article called "What is Inclusion?" brings up an interesting caveat to that idea. He says, "It is generally accepted that inclusion means inviting those who have been historically locked out to come in. A weakness of this definition is evident. Who is doing the excluding? Who has the authority or right to invite others in? And how did the inviters get in? It is time we both recognize and accept that we were all born in. No one has the right to invite others in. Society will immediately improve at the point that we honor this truth. Again, Reverend Rafe spoke to this a little bit last Sunday when he said that we cannot invite anyone in because we are all already in. There is only one life, and that life is God's life. So this morning I invite each of us to ask ourselves, how does exclusion make any sense at all? Does being a different color, practicing a different religion, voting for a different political figure, loving someone of the same sex, choosing not to go to college, having a pet or not having a pet, eating meat or not eating meat, being 21 or being 81, hailing from a different country, or any other comparisons that can be made make one human being any better than any other human being on the planet? Everyday people, the song we're talking about today says, I am no better and neither are you. We are the same whatever we do. We are all children of God, and no one is any more special than any other. The real definition of inclusion then is recognizing our universal oneness and interdependence. It is recognizing that we are one even though we are not all the same. Inclusion means turning away from anything that excludes. And all of the social diseases exclusion gives birth to, such as ageism, racism, sexism, able-bodyism, heterosexualism, and classism, to name just a few. Inclusion involves bringing people together and harnessing all of the diverse people, forces, and resources in the world in a way that is beneficial to the whole. Inclusion puts the concept and practice of diversity into action by creating an environment of involvement, respect, and connection, where the richness of ideas, backgrounds, and perspectives are harnessed to create value. Individually and collectively, we need both diversity and inclusivity in order to be successful, individually or collectively as a human family. Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon, the past spiritual director of Centers for Spiritual Living, says, when we come together and appreciate that there is something to be learned and something to be gained from each of the individual manifestations of God, what we do is to set ourselves on the pathway of conscious evolution, consciously moving towards the divinity and the greatness that we are. So as we individually and collectively begin to live our lives from a deep awareness of who we are at our very core and of our oneness, we will recognize that everything and everyone has value. We wouldn't be able to see it any other way. We have to be able to see the person in front of us or those on TV and know beyond a shadow of a doubt that everyone is a divine emanation of God. That they are at their core something that is always inherently good. Focusing on that inner goodness will give us the perspective that we need to remain as open and as present as possible. The invitation is to treat everyone as the divine beings that they truly are. We have to be able to see the person in front of us or those on TV and think of that person as just like we are, with the same needs, the same fundamental desire to be happy and to avoid suffering, the same loneliness, the same fear of the unknown, the same secret fear, areas of sadness, and the same feelings of helplessness at times. For real communication to be established, we must make a determined effort to see the person in terms of his or her own life. We have to take the time to know their story, to walk in their shoes, even if just for a moment, to ask them who they are, to listen reverently to the answers. We have to be able to know that inclusivity does not simply mean one big happy family where people are pretending or wanting others to pretend that the real differences of opinion or personalities do not exist. This idea of one big happy family where everyone must love everyone else is actually the opposite of inclusion. We cannot truly celebrate diversity if we are pretending that the differences do not exist. The reward of inclusion comes through the hard work of listening to one another, in finding and understanding the differences and the commonalities, and then being able to bring it all together in a way that works for everyone. The invitation is for all today is for all of us, everyday people, spiritual beings having a human incarnation, to allow our newly unfolding awareness of inclusivity to be the natural expression of ourselves, of our families, of our communities, and of our nations, to do the inner work to become more aware of our thoughts and our beliefs, and become willing to release those thoughts and beliefs that are no longer serving the whole. To recognize unconscious bias and implicit prejudice and work to allow the truth of our oneness to transform them. The invitation is to know that self-awareness is an extraordinary tool in putting inclusion into action. Because when we become self-aware, there's a much greater opportunity for healing. Healing will only happen with honest inquiry into ourself. When we are willing to do this, it is a very important step towards building a practice of becoming aware of others in our communities or in our families or in our lives. As we become more aware of ourselves and who we are at our core, we become more aware of others and who they are at our core. And ultimately, we are able to love people for exactly who they are. This is inclusion in action, and it is up to us, everyday people, to make it happen. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you, everyone. So I just invite us to turn within, to allow ourselves to return to that delicious inner space of peace and unconditional love. Turning away from the world of form and its insistence on the childlike futility of hating others, and turning inward to the space and place that I call God, that is the very essence of love itself. And to know that we are one with that spark, with that heart, with that center, created by it, out of it, supported by it, fueled by it, loved unconditionally by it. And it is from that place of unity, that place in which we are connected by that divine spark, that golden thread of God's stuff that weaves itself throughout all of life. Through it, we are one. One human family. Everyday people connected by unconditional love, by wholeness, by peace, by joy. And it is from that place of unity that I speak these words about and for each of us today, truly knowing that we are spiritual beings having a human incarnation. That even us ordinary people can live our lives from that divine spark. That we arrived on the planet with everything we need within us to live that way. To honor and respect and value each other for who we are at our very core. Allowing for the differences to really expand the richness of the tapestry that we are. I claim ease and grace for all of us in learning how to live our lives that way, letting go of anything that does not serve us, that does not serve the whole, and instead welcoming in an openness, welcoming in an availability, welcoming in a powerful yes to diversity and inclusion and unconditional love. Knowing that each of us, one person at a time, seeing each other one person at a time from that space will smooth out all of the crooked spaces and make the rough spots smooth. And I'm so grateful to know this truth and to speak these words. So grateful for the power of prayer, knowing that these words are loosed into a law that only ever says yes, that my words are clothed in form even as they are spoken. And so I speak them and release them into that law. Letting go and letting God be God. And I invite each of us to anchor these words for ourselves, for each other, and for the entire world, simply by saying, and so it is. And so it is. Amen. Amen. It is now time for our conscious giving. And I just invite us to turn within for a moment and allow ourselves to really think about all of the ways that we are truly blessed, that we are truly abundant and prosperous in our lives. To know, as a woman reminded me while I was walking today, as she told me that it was her 85th birthday, that any day above ground is a good day. And so I know that it is a good day, and that I know that we are abundant and prosperous. And I know that any day we are willing to share of some of that, that we powerfully step into the flow of life. Please repeat after me. I am grateful for all that I receive. And I am grateful for all that I may give. And so it is. The text to tithe number is on the screen, so you can absolutely use that, or if you would prefer, you can go to our website and click on the button that says Give in the upper right-hand corner, or, of course, you could also send a check to the center itself. Thank you very much for all of the generous ways that you give to this community. We wouldn't be a community without each and every single one of you, and so I know that we are blessed by your presence in our lives. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to welcome back to her piano the awesome and lovely Cindy Johnson.
For years I would talk about how I wanted to change the world, but I always left it up to someone else to do. Then I finally realized I needed to take a stand, and that by changing my thinking, I could change my life. That's how I could change the world. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. Oh, I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. And I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now.
Thank you so much for that, Cindy. I just realized it's been months since I've heard that song, and so it really touched my heart. Thank you so much. So we, as Dusty says, we aren't doing all of our usual things together like we would love to, but that doesn't mean that we are not a community, and that doesn't mean we aren't here for you. So if anyone would like prayer, please go to our website at trianglecsl.org. And on the home page, there's a button in the upper right-hand corner. Click on that button and fill in the request form. We will get that prayer and send it out to all of the ministers and practitioners. And, we love to hear from you. So send us your prayers of celebration, or if there's requests for support, please use us. Okay, so now it is time for our August affirmation. You can do this in the comfort of your own home, and so you don't have to worry about how it looks to anybody else. You can just stand up and you can gesture and you can do all this stuff to put the energy in the words to make it sound like what you're saying could change your life, because it can. Okay, so this is a call and response, so please repeat after me. I am one with divine creation. I am one with divine creation. The nature of that divine creation is one of diversity. Nature of that one creation is one of diversity. I see the wonderful diversity that is expressed uniquely as each of us. See the wonderful diversity that is expressed uniquely as each of us. I embrace the multiplicity of creation as a community expressing divinity on earth. I embrace the multiplicity of creation as a community expressing divinity on earth. As such, I claim harmony, acceptance, and love for all. As such, I claim harmony, acceptance, and love for all. My heart and my life are filled with delight. My heart and my life are filled with delight. I am the activity of inclusion itself. I am the executive of inclusion itself. And so it is. All right. So make sure to stick around because we're going to have another wonderful video to end off with. But before we do that, once again, if you can just turn within for our final concluding moment of prayer. And when I close my eyes and I focus less on our diversity and more on that oneness that is within me. And I am seeing that golden thread of God stuff that Dusty talked about shining so brightly in me. And I know it is a source of love and wisdom and abundance and joy and just all good things. And that is the truth of who I am. And I'm feeling that golden thread of God stuff shooting out of me and connecting me with all others, because I know that this is not just my truth, it is everyone's truth. And so I feel like Spider-Man, sending out those webs of connection with each and every one of you, everyone in our community, everyone in our planet. And boy, does that feel good. It feels so good. And so I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for today's service that has helped me see that golden thread of God stuff shining even brighter than before. I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity to, both individually and as a community, make things a little bit closer to that world that works for everyone. And I'm so grateful for the people who did this program. I'm so grateful for our wonderful ATV folks. I'm so grateful for everything and everyone that makes this possible. I'm so grateful for each one of you. So I just end with a statement of great gratitude. Great gratitude for our wonderful community. Great gratitude for today. Great gratitude for the fact that I know that each one of us is going to go out and manifest something from this talk today. And that makes it a wonderful world. So I just know that's done. So I turn it over to the law that always says yes and ask you to say with me our closing words, and so it is.